Hi, Liz. Uh, I hope
Huh?
uh, I hope your voice comes in better. It's talk.
Yes, I was
Say.
walking. I
Oh,
was
all right,
I
good.
I was walking towards the computer.
Good. Now it's fine. Okay.
Yeah, I had a doctor's appointment today and decided I did not want to drive 2 hours
Oh,
because the weather is not nice. I
how
can't.
is it there? It's not doing anything here. I mean,
It's raining now. It was snowing earlier,
uh-huh.
but
There was a
but I
little bit of snow, but such a light snow that as soon as it hit the ground, it was gone. So,
absolutely, because it's above 30, it's like 35. So,
oh, oh, is this your doctor's appointment in Gurnee? Or
well, no, this is a doctor's appointment in Aurora because my doctor closed his Vernon Hills office.
oh,
And if he was still in
Aurora.
Vernon Hills, I would have gone. But
Uh-huh.
I didn't feel like driving to Aurora in this because I don't know what's going to happen during the course of the day.
Right. I know. Because they're well, it looks like Dara might it might be okay. So
Yeah. It, she said the flight is on time
oh good. Good.
so
Okay.
far. So we'll see.
Okay. Hi, Estelle.
Well,
Uh,
I hear her saying hello behind her mute.
okay. Well, you have good hearing then, Liz.
Yep.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Estelle. And we have one more person we need, maybe two.
Well,
Whatever
we
happened to-
definitely yeah, we definitely need one more.
Yes. I wonder what happened to the young man, Jacob.
He didn't come on Tuesday night? Or-
Nope. Haven't
Uh-huh.
seen him.
Huh. Oh well. Yeah.
So who
So
knows?
who knows? Could be.
These kids, Oh yeah. It could be, who knows? It's
Yeah.
only just down the block.
Oh, what's the next? Right away. Da, da, da. If you can, I've got a feeling there's a miracle. Never mind.
Gonna come true, come into
Wait to me, could be. Who
Sorry,
knows?
Estelle.
There's something good.
I certainly think we need a miracle now.
Oh yes, that's
Yes.
for sure. That's for sure. Come on, Rabbi. Come on.
Man.
Seems like we're back to winter again.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
But by the end of the week, 50s, I think. So.
Good.
Yeah.
If Vivaldi had lived in Chicago, he could have written the seasons in 4 days.
That's good. David said if Vivaldi, the composer of the Four Seasons, if he lived in Chicago, he could write it in 4 days.
There you go.
Hi, Max. Are we going to have
Yes.
to text him?
I texted him,
Oh, good. Good. Okay.
told him
All
we're
right.
waiting.
I'm going on mute. I'll just sit around and wait.
Yeah, I'm watching a weather report. And there you are.
And somehow Liz knew I was just spacing out on my chair, oblivious, completely oblivious. And then a text comes through. We are waiting.
Yes. Hello, Rabbi.
It's just going to get worse.
Good to see you.
Thank you. It's just going to get worse.
That's true.
I wish.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Here we go. Okay, that is that he commanded us to love each other like we love ourselves, and that one's love and compassion for one's brother be like the love and compassion for himself regarding his money, regarding his body, and regarding everything else in his domain. If he wants it, I want it. And all that I will want for myself, I will want the same for him. And that is his saying, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The Hebrew here is a bit funny. Because the Hebrew says, he commanded us to love, and I mean, in modern Hebrew, this would mean he commanded us to love some of us, and some of us like we love ourselves. The word ktsat means a few or some. Now, a katzeh could mean from like like the edge of something, but it's very funny language. So I'm just gonna check here. So this is taking us to the laws of Lashon Hara, which doesn't. Why is it taking us to that? And jealousy. So these are all from that section. People who are jealous of others, who want to take revenge from others. So it's all from that chapter, but it's not mitzvah v'ahavta kamocha. I'm mainly interested in his language. What he meant by that. Anyways, okay. So one of the things that you see from here is that he seems to hold that we are supposed to actually love. The mitzvah is to experience love for other people. One's love and compassion for one's brother be like the love and compassion for himself regarding his money, regarding his body, regarding everything that is in his domain. So, which means that if he wants it, I want it. And what I want for myself, I want it for him as well. It really does sound like the Rambam understands this to mean that we are supposed to love other people. The reason I bring that up, this is a discussion that Lois and David and I have had on several occasions, is that others, including the Ramban, describe this mitzvah differently. It doesn't quote the Ramban here in the commentaries, but there are others who suggest that the mitzvah is not to love the other person, but to act like you love them, or act like somebody would act towards somebody that you love, which would mean that you should be concerned about these areas of another person's life, and you should act in a way that shows that kind of concern, but not that you are actually commanded to feel love. You're just supposed to act as somebody would if they love them, or and maybe to project from yourself. How would you know what somebody would do it? So it makes the assumption that we love ourselves, and therefore we can use ourselves as a model. So what would we like in this situation? So if we would like this, we could assume that this person would like it, and therefore this would a person who loves this person would want them to have what they like or what they want. But it doesn't. It sounds like from the language of the Rambam here that he believes that the mitzvah is to actually love another person. There, and to sort of expand your circle of love. This is something that there are practices that people have engaged or employed that are meant to increase the sort of circle of people that we love. And you will see in the writings of certain people, like in Shari Yosher, in his introduction, Rav Shimon Shkop suggests that this is part of the mitzvah of, he's really talking about the mitzvah of being holy, Kedoshim Tiyu. He suggests that mitzvah of be holy, Kedoshim Tiyu, means to be dedicated to the well-being of others. And he seems to suggest that there is a way of developing love for other people around us, and that as we expand that, we become more devoted and dedicated to their well-being, and that's part of the mitzvah of Kedoshim Tiyu, of being holy, which is the Torah portion, and which love your neighbor as yourself is one of the commands. So this is not just something that is of Jewish concern. There are other cultures, practices which have this concern. There is among some Buddhists, there is this, and it may be all Buddhists, I don't know, but I'm only familiar with some Buddhists have this, what they call compassion and expanding compassion for others as a part of their mandate. And they have practices that meditative practices that they use in order to expand the kind of ring of compassion that they tend to live within. And you will see some of this perhaps built into our mitzvos. It seems like some of the mitzvahs, especially things like returning a lost object to other people, looking out for other people, supporting other people at a time of need. These mitzvahs are not just pragmatic and beneficial to the other person that you're helping, but they tend to support a bond of love. This is also a possibility for why there are some mitzvahs that are directed to Jewish people. In other words, we're asked to do it for Jewish people, but not necessarily for other people. It could be that that's because part of the purpose of these mitzvahs is to create a bond of love and compassion between Jews. And this is of particular import for the Jewish people, that the Jewish people feel connected and have compassion and love for each other. So it could be why some mitzvahs, like returning a lost object, or even V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha itself, they use language that seems to distinguish Jews from other people. Love your neighbor as yourself, or your return to your brother, This is language that you see teased out in the Gemara or in commentaries to suggest that primarily you're meant to do this for other Jews, because perhaps it is absolutely essential that there is a unity amongst Jewish people, and a sense of interdependence and interconnectivity between Jewish people. So that would be part of how you expand your what we'll call ring of love, or circle of love, or circle of compassion. Initially, it may just be you and some family members and a couple of friends, but then as you grow in life and your experiences broaden and the people you know gets extended, your acts of chesed for other people, and caring for other people. You go to their shiva house, you visit them when they're sick, you give them shalach manos, you return their lost objects. As these the circle of people who you're interacting with grow larger, the bonds of connectivity and love grow, with a goal that this should extend to as far as possible, and certainly to the Jewish people. Rav Shimon Shkop does have a line at the end where he says, "and then to all of creation," so that it at least he understood it this way, that eventually this love would extend beyond the bounds of just the Jewish people, would extend to all people, and would even extend to creatures and to plants and trees and all of creation in general. One of the features of love is that you have this sense of interconnectivity. You start to lose a sense of where you begin and the other person ends. And this allows for a kind of sharing and partnership, and extends the good that people can do, because now it's not just an individual, but it's a group of people. And it also extends the benefit, because if I help a person who themselves are widely interconnected with other people, in some sense, I've helped all of them. There is even a line: if somebody saves one person, they've saved the whole world. There is some sense, whether we intend it or not, that we're all interconnected. But certainly, if love becomes part of this, then it's even more powerful, the interconnection. So Rabbi Akiva says, he calls this mitzvah zeh klal gadol b'Torah, that this is the great category of the Torah. In some sense, this is what it's all about, that this mitzvah, v'ahavta kamocha, and you could see why somebody might think that the kind of sharing of this like life energy with others, and the broadest possible group of others, could in some way symbolize the point of being here and the potential of a life. When we're in love, in some sense, we're the best version of ourselves, which means that we are able to take advantage of our potential in the best possible way, could be argued. There might be other circumstances where we could get pushed to be our best selves, but this is certainly one of them, and maybe the best way that that's expressed. So that is this mitzvah, just that funny language in the Hebrew that makes you want to look farther, but we'll just go on. Okay. That is that he commanded us to love converts. And that is his saying, and you shall love the stranger. And even though he was included regarding this with all of Israel in his saying, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, since this stranger is a convert, now full member of Israel, however, because he entered into our Torah, God added love upon love and designated an additional commandment for him. This is as he did with the prohibition of, and you shall not oppress. He also said, and you shall not oppress a stranger. Again, you're not allowed to oppress, cause suffering, let's say through your words. You're not allowed to cause suffering to any Jew. So why does the Torah have to add that you shall not oppress a stranger? For the same reason as he's saying it, for the same reason that it does it doubly when it comes to love. And it is explained from the language of the Gemara that we are liable by oppressing the convert on account of and you shall not oppress, and on account of and you shall not oppress a stranger. So we are also obligated to love him on account of and you shall love a neighbor as yourself, but also on account of you shall love the stranger. And this is clear, and there's no doubt about it. I don't know a single man from whoever counted the commandments that botched this. And in most books of Medrash, they explain that God commanded us about the convert just like he commanded us about himself. And he said, you shall love the Lord your God. And he said, and you shall love the stranger. See Parshas Akev. So he doesn't articulate why there needs to be two, but it seems to be self-understood. It seems even he thinks that everybody understands this, that some people might still not think of a convert as fully part of the Jewish community. And even though intellectually the convert is 100% a part of the Jewish community, but there still might be some reticence, some resistance to that notion emotionally. So we're being asked to double our effort when it comes to converts, to add love upon love, perhaps in order to overcome the kind of reticence that some people feel towards converts. Again, intellectually, if you ask them, do you believe a convert is 100% a Jew? They would say yes, intellectually. But in their behavior, and their demeanor, and their language, do they show us the same? And I'm not just speaking about others, I'm speaking about myself. So therefore, we need perhaps extra encouragement. And that's why it would double up on the love. That's also why it would double up on the negative commandment, making it worse to oppress a convert than just oppressing the average Jew, because many of us need that. We need that extra push to remind us that there's no difference. It's also interesting the way he ends it. God commanded us about the convert just like he commanded us about himself. He said, you shall love the Lord your God. And he said, you shall love the stranger. Let's see, that is something you'd like to meditate on for a while. Why? Yeah, as often is the case with the Medrash, it's not just the words, it's where the words are pointing to. Okay. So next, that is that he commanded us to justify the leveler, the scales, the weights, and the measurement and the measures to maximize their exactness. And so if you work with scales, you need to regularly make sure that your scales are true. And whatever measuring device you use, you need, the burden is on the salesperson. The burden is on the one who is weighing to make sure that their weights and measures are exact. And that is, may be exalted, saying just scales. In other words, scales that are just. And the language of the Sifra, again, halachic medrash in Kedoshim, just scales. What does that mean? Justify the scales well. Just weights, justify the weights well. And just apha, justify the apha, which is a measure as well. And a just hin, justify the hin as well. It's already known that the apha is a dry measure and the hin is a wet measure. And all of these matters are one. Even if the type of measure varies according to the thing that is weighed or measured, regardless, it is a measurement that is evaluated. And all of these, meaning the leveler, the scales, the apha, are called measures. And the command that we have been commanded to maximize the exactitude of the accepted measurement for each and every type is called the commandment of measures, which in Hebrew Tzimtzum Hashiur, mitzvahs midos. So the mitzvah of midos, of measurements. The language of the Sifra, again, the halachic midrash in Kedoshim, is, on this condition I brought you out of the land of Egypt, that you take upon yourself the commandment of measures. For all who acknowledge the commandment of measures acknowledge the exodus from Egypt, and all who deny it deny the exodus from Egypt. The regulations of this commandment have already been explained in the 5th chapter of Bava Batra, the tractate Bava Batra. So that's quite strong language. The Torah itself says this, but it's also the Rambam embellishes it. When somebody says that this is why we were taken out of Egypt, that's another way of saying this is a part of our purpose as a people, that a part of our purpose as a people is to have just weights and measures. The actual wording when you talk about just measures is tzedek, and we see in the Torah at one point in the book of, in like the Torah portion of Mishpatim, I think, or Kiseitse, over there somewhere, it says tzedek tzedek tirdov, you shall chase after or seek tzedek. Also, when God is speaking about Avraham before he tells him about what he's planning on doing to Sodom, he says, "Why do I know him?" Some translators, "Why do I love him?" Because he will teach his children to go in the way of God. Lasos tzedakah umishpat, to do tzedakah and mishpat, justice and righteousness and justice. So this notion of tzedek, the Rambam is suggesting, I mean, he's interpreting the Torah. The Torah is saying this, but the Rambam's expanding on it. He's saying that doing tzedek, doing justice, is part of why we are here. It is part of the mission of the Jewish people. So if the Jewish people are to perform their mission, then the tools of that trade, the tools of our mission, need to be exact. They need to be honed. So one of the ways that's reflected in how we measure things, in a sale, in a transaction, that it has to be as exact as we are capable. So in transactions, when a person is making a just transaction, he is fulfilling what is a purpose of the Jewish people, why we're taken out of Egypt. A lot of us would think that if you wanted to see the reason why we're taken out of Egypt, it would be a spiritual scene. It would be some kind of scene of devotion or prayer or study or some kind of ritual mitzvah. So if you wanted to see why we're taken out of Egypt, you'd have a picture of an Israeli soldier with a lulav and an esrog, trying to capture our way in the world, or wearing tefillin, or lighting Shabbos candles, or that these are pictures that indicate a Jew at work in the world, rather sort of symbolic of why we're here. But it sounds like from the Rambam that having a businessman measuring out sliced pastrami deserves that photograph. In other words, if I want to show a Jew moving in the world in a way that was envisioned before we left Egypt, that this man may represent it at least as much, and maybe in some ways more, the one who is selling something with honest weights and measures. He may in some ways represent it more than some of those other images, or at least as much as some of those other images. I remember there were certain people I encountered when I was doing business over the years. When I say doing business, shopping or whatever, over the years, there were certain people that sort of stood out as righteous. But there was, what was their name? The family that owned kosher carry. Do you remember their names? That's who owned it. It'll come to me, because one of the sons was in my class in high school, and I used to go there all the time. So when I moved back to Chicago, the store was still up, kosher carry, and I used to buy sandwiches for classes that I was giving, and he would always ask me to give him like a word of Torah. He would say, like, tell me something on the parsha, or tell me something you're thinking about, as he did with, I think, everybody who was a teacher. But one of the things was you just felt like he had such concern that you were getting your fair share when he was cutting the meat, or measuring something out. They made these amazing drumettes, the best drumettes ever. And when he would measure it out, it was just so much concern that you were getting the right amount. You would never hear from him, "Oh, it's a little over. Is that okay?" No, he was measuring it exactly. And also, like, if you were getting something with gravy or he would always, you know, measure the thing itself and then add the gravy afterwards. It was such, you felt like you were in the presence of something holy, a holy moment. And as what you were doing was, you know, take out a financial transaction for takeout. But it's, I think, somewhat extraordinary to see it like this, you know, to see the Rambam suggesting or amplifying, because he's not the originator, the Torah is originating it, but sort of amplifying this notion that we were taken out of Egypt for this. We were taken out of Egypt for this. And by the way, this is called, you know, somebody who cheats when it comes to this is called an abomination. It's an abomination to cheat at this, which many consider the highest statement of reproach. And also, maybe we'll look this up on Monday, but it doesn't, a lot of times it'll call the act an abomination. But here, it's not calling the act an abomination. It calls the person an abomination. That's somebody who does it, which is extremely rare. So it's really, you could see both sides of this. It's really considered in the highest regard. Okay, so thank you for your patience from before, and I look forward to getting together on Monday. I'm very grateful that we get to learn together.
Thank you. Rabbi, was it either Weinberg or Margolis?
Margolis.
Margolis.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Margolis. Thank
They
you.
were 2 stores down from my father's store on the that's why I knew. So
Yeah,
Thank
they
you,
were
Rabbi.
very nice people. Very nice people. Okay, be well, Estelle, and
You
be
too.
well, and Liz. Be
See you
well.
all in the morning.
thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
be well. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye.